What is up, y'all? Welcome to episode number 7 for season 2. My name is Tyler Waller. You guys know me as On Another Line, so thank you guys for sticking around. Josh is having to work over tonight, so it's just going to be me here. Misty's in the other room taking care of the YouTube chat. I have the Facebook chat right here. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We're going to talk about a lot of different things today. We're going to talk about mainly, first off, how to differentiate between the seasons. We're also going to talk about how to find bass during the seasons, and we're going to talk about the most challenging time of year for me, which is going to be the springtime, because the fish go through 3 specific phases, and that is post spawn, spawn, and pre spawn. I'm sorry, pre spawn, spawn, and post spawn. Sorry about that. So again, thank you guys for joining us. My name is Tyler Waller. We're on another line, and we will get you started here with the intro. So let's go.
Got a tackle box full of Bass Pro, a couple rods and a flat bottom boat. Hook it up to the truck, got a hot date with a fishing hole. Got a nice chest, well it's empty right now. Grab a 30-pack, fill it up, ice it down. Back the boat down the ramp, ease her out through the no-wake zone. Well, there ain't no better way on a Saturday to drift away from reality. Drown your 9 to 5 like a worm in the water. Hook to a red and white bobber. Kick back, slip a koozie on. Turn the quiet up, turn off your phone. Leave a message at the beep, I'll get back to you another time. Right now, I'm on another line.
All right, guys. Again, special thanks to our sponsors this show. I always like to give a shout out to those people. JB's Fish Sauce has been with us from day one, man. They're something that I definitely can get into. This is Black Magic here. Go buy yourself some. Lure Lock boxes. We're going to show you guys a demonstration of Lure Lock here in just a second. And Odyssey Battery. Odyssey Battery makes one of the best batteries on the planet. They make batteries that are made from virgin lead, so they can make a smaller footprint but higher power. As I mentioned before, my 31 series are 2150 cold cranking amps in my Odyssey batteries, which is pretty amazing. So, guys, if you guys want to hear something, or if you guys want to see something that's going on here, want to let me know. Like I said, I'm a one-man show tonight, so I appreciate any help I can get on the comments. Again, we are streaming live. Anything that you guys can do to help us out, share this thing out, I appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys here on Facebook and YouTube can hear me okay. Again, like I said, I'm trying to do 2 things at once. Misty's doing some stuff there to help me out. She has actually been the one that's she actually come up with all the trivia questions we're going to be playing here in a little bit. Hey, Hunter Nixon, what's up, brother? Lucas Peak showing up there. 11 guys on YouTube or on Facebook there. Guys, again, I thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be talking a lot of stuff today. First and foremost, I want to talk about the Tackle Box Open House this weekend. Huge success. If you've never been to the Tackle Box, you need to go check it out. One of the best places on the planet for tackle. It's one of the biggest shops I've been in. Even talking to Drew Sadler from Sportco, Shimano, and all, and they say that it's one of the best shops around. Not just around here. It's big compared to even some of the bigger shops in bigger areas like Lexington, Cincinnati, Columbus, stuff like that. So you definitely need to go up there and check them out. That is what's happening. Let's see who else we got. Ricky Barnett joining us. Austin Bays, what's up, brother? Shane Rader. Kevin Dick. We've got a couple stories to tell you about Kevin and his family here in a little bit. Casey Williams, what's up? Tiffany, hey. Donnie Turner's Caden watching with you, I hope. Give him a shout out here in a little bit. What's up, Brooke? Austin Adkins, Dad's watching. Again, I threw a shout out to Lucas Peak there. Appreciate it, guys. Pete McClanahan, Michael Adkins, guys. Thank you guys very much for joining us again. We're streaming live on 2 different places, so if you're seeing me on YouTube, you may just have a short little bit before I can get to your questions, but feel free to ask questions on your spot. So, what's up, James Clark? So again, we're going to start talking about springtime, how to catch fish in the springtime. Better yet, the biggest thing is trying to differentiate between the different seasons. We're going to look at KVD's method. KVD has got one or two bass, and it's one of this. Oh, so Caden's on YouTube too, so it doesn't matter. But we're going to talk about that in just a second. But I want to go back to the Tackle Box Open House. The Tackle Box Open House this weekend was phenomenal. Almost 1,000 people through the door of the show. 600 on Saturday, 350, 400 plus there, somewhere in that area on Sunday. One of the coolest things that I saw from this show is the fact that I saw the younger generation of fishermen there, and they were there in full force, man. I tell you what, like I said, I'll talk about Kevin Dick and his boys in a second here. I had a story from his dad I want to share in just a second, but Caden Turner come out. Him and Maddox Rowe were there, got to cast the DC, and Maddox ended up going home with one, so I'm sure you guys will both be using it. Looks like you guys got some use out of it the other day. I'm not sure how many Corrado DCs we sold, but it was a bunch. When we sold the DC there for Maddox, I think there was 2 left in the 7-to-1 gear ratio, which is crazy. The reel sells itself is amazing. So, but back to the tackle box there, I met, and I'm sorry if I get this wrong. I'm pretty sure that Kevin's dad's name was Steve. I met so many people through that weekend, but Kevin Dick's dad, I hope his name's Steve. If not, that's what's going to be. That's what he's going to be called tonight. But he come up to me and he's like, "Hey, Tyler," he said, "I enjoy your show." He said, "I want to share a story with you." So I was like, "Sure, man. I love stories." And he was like, "Well," he's like, back in the day," he said, "I was doing everything I could to make ends meet." He said, "Couldn't hardly provide for my family." He said, "I was working odds and ends jobs, doing whatever I could get done." And he said, "Just barely baking a meat." He said, "I had a fella that I knew that, fished in the area, wanted me to fish a Redman tournament back in the day." And he's like, "Man, I can't afford that. I can barely afford to put food on the table." And the guy said, "Well, it's nothing about that." He said, "Only thing you got to do is, only thing you got to do is show up." He said, "I'll pay the entry fees. I'll pay I'll pay the fuel money. I have the boat. Only thing you got to do is get in and fish. I just want you to fish with me." So his dad goes and he basically he goes out and buys a Lew's rod and reel. He charges it. So he goes back and he's his wife's getting ready to throttle him because he just spent more money than they've probably made for the month on this rod and reel. Goes out with the guy, ends up winning the tournament. So comes back, hands the check to mommy, all is well. I thought that was a really cool story there. So priorities, that's where they get you, and that's the thing. So another thing about Kevin is that I met his boy Carson. He's super young kid, super amped up about fishing. We had a discussion about fishing tournaments and stuff, and literally had a 15-minute conversation about why fishing is fun, and I had a conversation with the younger generation of fishing, which is amazing. So it's great to keep everybody up in spirits there. And another thing that I saw over the weekend of seeing these 1,000+ people that come through the door is that there were several people that recognized me from not only On Another Line but my YouTube channel as well. So I appreciate you guys, and it was a lot. It was pretty humbling to figure out that those people that were there had recognized me, and one guy said, "Hey man, we need to see more content. We dig your stuff." And I agree. So you're going to see me live probably on YouTube every week by myself, probably on Sunday evenings when I don't have much going on. But the Tackle Box Open House was amazing. We sold a lot of great products. Everything was good. They gave away 2 Shimano rod and reel combos that were $200 plus. I gave away a reel that fella won, Josh Moore, and I don't know if he's went and picked that up or not, but 3,086 buzz baits and spinner baits was the actual total of that. So if you guys guessed around, you can check that stuff out. Josh Moore, I missed it by 3. That's pretty good stuff there. See here on YouTube. Hey, Greg, buddy, I appreciate it. It means a lot. I'm just trying to figure out what everybody is, into. We're trying to make sure that all the content is good and is very, engaging. We don't want to get boring, and we definitely never want to do that. So if you guys want to hear a topic or see something, definitely comment or message me. We'll make it happen. Hey, Will. Good evening, brother. And Hunter, you're right. The Crowder DC is amazing stuff. So anyway, back to the task at hand, and I'm going to switch over here, guys, on YouTube. I'm going to switch this over so I can't see the chat. Misty will notify me if I have one. I'm going to bring it up here in just a second. But again, I want to spend this little bit of information or this little bit of time here talking about something that is really tough for me, and that's catching fish when it comes to the springtime. And the springtime is really, really tough for me because of the fact that there's so many places for the bass to be, and so many things for everything going on there. So that's one of the things that I have to think about there. So let's switch over here to the PowerPoint presentation that I have here for us. And, all right. So again, all this information again is coming either from myself research or stuff from KVD and other resources I found. This is stuff from my personal thing. What's going on? Hey, Nate, what's up? Larry Slack's back on board with us. Hey, brother. Cody Hall, Aaron Bray, guys, appreciate you guys sticking around with us. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is, fishing the spring. So first off, again, you have to understand that the springtime consists of basically 3 different modes of fish thought, if you will, and that's going to be post-spawn or pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn. So before they spawn, during the spawn, and after they spawn. Hey, Dan Mullins, what's up, brother? So one of the things is I was looking is, I took what I thought I knew about the spring and the spawn, and I threw it out the window. I was like, I'm just going to pretend that I know nothing about the spawn. And this is the information that I've learned over the last week, learning about the spawn, trying to make myself a better fisherman to help you guys out, myself as well. So the biggest thing that I have to think about again is something I found that was really helpful for me reading it was something I found that was KVD's seasonal guide. The seasonal guide is something that he chooses to, he throws out some really, really cool pieces of information that I thought was really helpful. So when Billy Wilmoth's online, guys, David Howard, man, I appreciate it. 21 people online on Facebook Live, guys. I appreciate it very much. But Kevin Van Dam seasonal guide, the very first season he talks about is winter. He says the water temps are 48 degrees and below, and that's what he considers winter time. So if you get the water that's 48 and below, that's going to be his wintertime pattern. The wintertime pattern to him says that most of the fish are on the main bodies of water. There's no fish really in the tributary arms and the creeks. They're going to be moving deeper. And he says that it depends on where you're at, but it says that some fish anywhere from 40 to 60 feet may not be uncommon in the winter, which is pretty outstanding. Something that I never think about fishing that deep. But so he says, again, most of them are on the bodies of water, not in tributary arms or creeks. Fish relate to steep sloping banks and bluffs, as we talked about last week. And that is where people look at the different contour lines, and anything that's really steep, all the contour lines will be stacked together. They'll be stacked really, really close together. They won't be really spread out, and we'll talk about in just a second. Spread out contour lines, which means there's a big flat or there's less of a slope of the line, which is pretty cool. So that's one thing that I'm hoping the angler gets to be part of their app here soon is contour lines. Right now they have contour lines of major lakes and oceans. Right now they're in talks with Navionics to try to get that API to make that stuff happen. And if that works, then it's going to be phenomenal. But again, fish relate to steep sloping banks or bluffs. The reason that is because they usually suspend in the water column, and they want the they want to be able to move up and down in the water column with the least amount of effort. So if you think about having a big sloping bank, they're going to have to go all the way up that bank to get some warmer water when they can just go vertically on a steep bank or bluff. Turn that effect down a little bit. It's a little loud. All right, so anywho, usually suspend and in the water column rather than be tight to cover. They want to be able to move up and down on the temperature change with the least amount of effort. Again, in the wintertime, guys, they're trying to expend the least amount of effort and try to get as much food intake as possible. So next thing is he says jerk baits as water clarity allows. Blade baits, crankbaits, make sure you're at the upper end of the water temp in winter. So, so if you're looking between 48 and whatever we'll talk about in just a second, the very first thing we're going to talk about is the next one is going to be pre-spawn, which is, again, the water temperature is anywhere from 48 to 55. So if you think about when you get up to 48, 49, 50, those baits that he's talking about are going to be good. So let's, with that being said, let's throw out today's very first trivia question. So, let's see here. Here we go. Today's very first trivia question, guys. By the way, guys, all of these things come from Misty's research today. I put her on the deal of creating 10 things for you guys. So a bass's lateral line is used for what? Is it A, finding mates, B, detecting prey, C, fight off predators, or D, kill prey? Again, a bass's lateral line is used for what? Finding mates, detecting prey, fight off predators, or kill prey? Seeing a lot of answers there. Let's see here. Justin Baldridge is up, brother. Another young angler I met. So yeah, Aaron, KVD does know how to fish, contrary to popular belief. Hey, Kevin, all your boys are watching. I saw that they are learning to play bluegrass instruments. I'm really impressed. Let's see, everybody. We see got a lot of stuff here. I see most of the answers are B, and the answer there is B. The answer there is B, detecting prey. So nice work. So back to our seasonal guide for KVD. And again, I thought this information was really, really helpful for me and really handy for what I saw. So again, we talked about the winter. Now we're getting into this aspect that we're going to be talking about most of this show, and that's going to be the springtime. It's my most favorite time to fish, but it's also the hardest time to pattern fish, in my opinion. So I've done what I could to try to help myself out there and learn a little bit. So hopefully you guys learn a little bit too. So he says water temperatures anywhere from 48 to 55 degrees. Fish will begin moving up into shallow water, but don't think that they're moving up into shallow water immediately. They're basically staging at this point. Fish a lot of times will use banks that are steeper, they're bluffs or rock faces or really steep banks. But the one thing that you're going to want to look for is they look for areas that are near flatter areas. So it might be a northern bank that is close to a big shallow flat. And again, so you're going to be looking at where those, we'll talk about it in just a second, but where those contour lines actually spread way out. If there's spread a bunch of the way out, then they're going to be, it's going to show that there's less of a drop off or less of a steep incline there. So fish use points of staging areas to move up from the spawning ground. We just talked about that a second ago. Northern banks are key because they have more sunlight on them during the day and are sheltered from cold north winds. So from my research, most of the cold fronts come from the north down. So usually the north banks are sheltered because of the trees and the bank lines that are really close there, and they're not as beat down with the actual the cold wind there. So that's something else you want to look into. Bass will follow ditches and depth contours searching for shallower water, especially after the temp reaches 50 degrees. So once that temperature hits that magical 50-degree mark, they're going to move from those staging areas like those northern, you may talk about main lake points that are on the northern side of the lake. He talks about here in just a second how the upper end of a lake is always better because it usually warms up quicker. It's usually deeper by the dam, so the warmer section is going to be towards the northern end of the lake, or the upper end of the lake, I should say. It doesn't have to be northern, but the northern banks are definitely the best there as well. So fish considerably faster once temperature reaches 52. So he says he uses a lot of things like jerk bait, lipless crankbait, such as a Strike King red eye shad, and he says he fishes considerably faster than he does any other time once the water temp reaches 52 degrees. So pretty good idea here, just to show you guys a little bit about I just threw some of my baits in here. Lure Lock small box here. This is a LL3. Again, in here, there's 4 red eye shad, and I think that's a lunker hunt. I found that at St. Clara, to be honest with you. I don't know what kind of blade bait that, or what kind of rattle trap or lipless crankbait that is there on the orange one down here. But the rest of them are Strike King, KVD, red eye shad. One of these, the white one, is actually a 2-tap, which is a tungsten version of the regular one. So I had a question over the weekend: do Lure Lock boxes really work? What do you guys think? Pretty good stuff, man. Pretty crazy how well they do actually work. But those are lipless crankbaits that are talking about there. You can't see them. What's up with that? Maybe I didn't have it close enough. Can you see them now? Hopefully you guys got a view of them right there. Well, guess you're right. How about this? See, one-man show. Sorry, guys. There we go. Now I'll get you in there eventually. There you go. Little again, Strike King, KVD, red eye shad. 2 top one obviously are shad collared. I like the orange crawdad collared one there. The white one's amazing. Like I said, I don't know what this bait is. I think it's a lunker hunt. Not sure. I snagged it at St. Clair a couple years ago. Just threw them in there to show you guys. So sorry about that. Now let's get back to the task at hand. So yeah, the red eye shad are amazing, guys. Sorry about that. Again, I'm a one-man show here. I understand what you're talking about now. I was like, I pick's too small, and I looked up and was like, oh yeah, that's because you're seeing me this big in the bottom corner. Sorry. So anyway, we're back. Again, that's what he's talking about. He's going to be throwing a jerk bait or lipless crankbait, such as the Strike King red eye shad. I'm going to switch back to the big thing here really quick, because I want to show you guys a jerk bait that I'm really, really proud of. Misty just picked me up for Valentine's Day, actually, something I really, really wanted. Kyle had a hand in helping her out. But I don't know if you guys are familiar, but Jackall is one of my favorite baits on the planet, no matter what they are. And it's going to focus in on my main mug here, so you're not going to see it as well as you should. But this is a Jackall Re-Range 110, and I apologize because it's too small. But this thing right here is absolutely going to catch them, and you're not going to be able to hear it. But what happens is there's actually something that actually goes from the belly to the back when you cast it, which allows you to cast this thing a lot further. It actually will scare you to death if you're the co-angler of a boat and you hear this thing whizzing past your head. This is a Re-Range 110, and again, I apologize, you're not going to be able to see it. Camera's on manual focus, but this is one of the baits he's talking about as far as throwing in the pre-spawn jerk bait, something like this. Strike King makes some really good stuff too. I'm pretty partial to that Re-Range just for the simple fact is I love Jackall baits. They're phenomenal stuff. I'll show you guys some baits here in just a minute that Misty got me as well. So let's go back to where we're at here. So next thing is he starts talking about the spawn. The spawn. What's up, Jared? What's up, buddy? Yeah, Scott, you're right. It's a weight transfer, and it does allow it to transfer a lot more energy, so you can cast a lot farther. So KVD's seasonal guide continues, goes on and says that the next episode, if you will, in the spawn era is actually the spawn. So his idea of spawn, and again, this all determines where you're fishing at, obviously, or is determinant where you're fishing at. If you're talking about these water temperatures in Florida, it's going to be way different and way different times of year. And I'll show you guys a map here in just a little bit of how those fish and when they're going to actually spawn. So, it all depends on weather also. So if you're not getting the weather you need, it's all kind of partial to what's going on. So he says water temps range from 50 to 55 to 70 degrees. Mini bass will be on flat, protected structures. So you're going to be talking about water depth 10 foot or less in lowland reservoirs or natural lakes. Check this out, 8 to 20 feet in highland reservoir lakes. So that was a pretty phenomenal piece of information that I found there, that he says that in highland lakes they actually will spawn up to 20 feet deep, which I was really surprised about. So I don't fish any highland reservoirs, but I just thought that was really pretty cool information to know there. Look for areas with contour lines that are spread out, indicates a flat area. So you're talking about contour lines that are way bigger than just being really, really stacked together. Again, as I mentioned last week and just a second ago, if you have a weight I got weight transfer on my brain. I saw Scott's comment there, but if you have a contour line that's really stacked together on top of each other, it's going to be a really steep bank or really steep slope. Could be a bluff, could be a rock wall, could be a really steep sloping bank. And if they're really spread out, that just shows you that there's not a whole lot of difference in the depth contour there. So you want to look for stuff on a contour map that will be really stretched out or spaced out a lot. Another thing that I have to keep myself in the check is, not all fish spawn at the same time. So most of the bigger fish are going to spawn first. However, if you go up into a spawning flat and you see a lot of smaller fish, normally going to be males guarding the nest, you should then immediately know, if you don't see any of the big girls swimming around, you should back off of that and fish the staging area up to that. So maybe the males are just there and actually as maybe they're going, they're up there making a nest and the water temperature has something to do with it. And Dan, you're right. I've never heard of spawn temperatures from 70 degrees either. And again, this is KVD stuff. He's a pretty reputable source. So, I'm looking at 55, 60 degree water temperature usually for spawn, but that's the whole thing. So I've done a little research, and this is his take on it. So I thought it was a pretty good deal to ask here, talk about. And again, one of the things is that you're normally going to want to target the upper end of lakes. And on the upper end of lakes, you're going to be talking about northern banks there. So these are things what he called spawn magnets. Really, Nate, seen him at Greenbow at 68. There you go. So of course, Greenbow is another deal on itself. That's pretty cool stuff, though. Thanks for the input there, Nate. So again, target upper end of the lake, so away from the dam, something where it's going to be shallower. Fish can get a lot more shallow. Again, 8 to 10 feet or less, 10 feet or less. Again, in most of the lakes we have around here, and stick to the northern banks because, again, they get a lot more sunlight on them throughout the day, and also they're protected from the really cold northern winds, which usually are attributed to the cold fronts that are coming in. So, all right. So, next thing, let's go with trivia question number 2 from Misty's standpoint. Trivia question number 2. A bass will eat anything as big as A, its length, B, its eye, C, its mouth, or D, its stomach. Again, a bass will eat anything as big as A, its length, B, its eye, C, its mouth, or D, its stomach. Tristan Cobb in the house. Got a few here. Cody, to be honest with you, I don't know that I'm fishing any circuits. If I fish a circuit, it's going to be the BFL Michigan division with Kyle. Just for a simple fact is they're fishing St. Clair 3 times and the Detroit River twice, so it's 5 hours or less from my house. Plus, you have the opportunity of smashing some fish for the same amount of money as I could spend catching dinkers here on the river. But what I think I'm going to do, to be honest with you, bro, is I think I'm going to I think I'm going to just spend this year producing content for YouTube and Facebook and see how that goes. And again, the reason there being that I want to give it a shot, man. I want to see what I can do with YouTube and Facebook and see what's going on with it. That's the issue that I want to do, and that's what I want to do with this year. I met some really heavy hitters in the YouTube industry over the past couple months. Gene Jensen, aka Fluke Master, Tyler Anderson, who is Tyler's Real Fishing on YouTube. Ben Nowak, I've known him for a while. He was on the show. Alex Rudd, Scott Butcher. I mean, collectively, these guys have like 600 to 700,000 subscribers between them. So that's the issue that I'm trying to pursue. Is I enjoy fishing. I love it. I also enjoy educating or trying to educate, maybe educating myself. What other things? I like to create content. So I think I'm going to take this year off from fishing competitively and just, and spend a lot of time fishing for fun. It's been a while since I've done that. And, am I saying that I'm not going to fish any tournaments? No. Am I saying that I'm not going to fish any of the clubs? No. But I'm not going to fish them as crazy as I have the past few years. Again, if I fish a circuit, it's going to be the BFL Michigan Series. What one are you fishing, Cody? Hey, Troy Pennington. How was the fishing today? Didn't look like it was very good, brother. So anyway, back to the trivia question there. The trivia question, again, I'll throw it back up here, is bass will eat anything as big as A, its length, B, its eye, C, its mouth, and D, its stomach. The answer there is C, its mouth. Kind of makes sense after you think about it, because it's not going to eat anything bigger than its mouth because it can't fit in there. However, I've seen some bass that have tried to take that on. You guys have all seen these videos where fish will have tried to eat bass that are like sticking this far out of the, halfway out of their mouth. So there are some differences to that, but again, pretty cool question there from Misty. Again, she's learning right along with us. So again, I gave her the option to come up with some questions, and she came up with some dandies. You guys are waiting to see here. So again, we talked about spawn there a little bit, and the biggest thing about spawn is for me is checking the water temperature. I think Troy said it was like 40 some degrees at Yatesville today. Caught one fish. That's better than no fish, though, I guess. So it was a fairly chilly day, man. I have to give you, props for going out there and check and hammering down on it. All right, so again, moving on from KVD's seasonal guide here, he says target upper ends of the lakes and northern banks. These are what he calls spawn magnets. The next season he has here is post-spawn. Post-spawn he says water temperatures range from 70 to 75 degrees during this period. Fish that have already spawned will likely hang around spawning grounds a while. Don't expect them to come out of the spawning grounds and go immediately deep or mainly out onto the main lakes. They're going to be hanging out around these spawning grounds, maybe at the same staging locations they were previously in the pre-spawn stage. One of the things that he says to look for in this location during this time frame is structure that sticks up off the bottom. He says these are keys this time of year. Boat dock pilings, trees, submerged bushes, something that comes directly off the bottom of the bank. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. So that's one thing you want to look at. He says this is the toughest time of year for him to pattern fish. If that's tough for him to do, you have to understand that this is pretty phenomenally tough for most people. The issue there is that you have to kind of judge where these fish are at and where they're at during their spawn and their spawn cycles. Again, keep in mind, as the previous slide said, that not all fish spawn at the same time. So just because you catch a fish at a staging area doesn't mean that they're staging to spawn. They could be staging right after spawn or during the post spawn time. He says what he likes to do is target fish along temperature spots in the lake. So he'll fish spawners at the northern end or the upper end of lakes, and then he'll work his way down the lake, getting down towards the lower end of the lake as the season goes on, and catch more fish spawning as they go. So, if you're talking about the upper part of when your area's time for spawn is, then you may be looking at middle or lower towards the dam to find fish that are spawning there just because of the temperature change in the lakes. He says present baits high in the water column and focus on reaction style baits. Top water works well. Small jig with a trailer. He says he never keeps it on the bottom. He's always reeling like a 3/8 ounce jig, something with a trailer, something that he can fish a lot. Hey Brian, you gonna be fishing a BFL, buddy? I appreciate it, man. Definitely see you there for sure. Troy says 42 degrees, about 8 inches of visibility, and it was fun but tough. Cody says, good deal, man. I don't blame you at all. Probably going to fish a High Bass Nation team trail in TBA, Southern High Division, and maybe the BFL. Sorry about that. Austin Bay's in the house. What's up, brother? Met him over the weekend. Tim Heberlin. Guys, thank you for joining us. So, anyway, he says, present baits high in the water column and focus on reaction style baits. Top water works well. Small jig trailer reel without hitting the bottom. Stay upper end of that water column. Don't let your baits get too deep in this stage. Spinner bait's also a great bait to try while covering water to find fish. KVD, he is absolutely a beast at throwing baits that cover a ton of water. He is also amazing at throwing down baits and forgetting about them. If you watch him on MLF or anything like that, he'll fish 40 different baits until he catches one fish, and then he'll hone in on those fish on that bait, that's a quality I think we all wish we had. So again, spinner bait. This is talking about post spawn. This is after the spawn stage, no matter where you're at. So after the spawn, this is, again, I figure this is something, instead of just cutting it off there, we'd talk about how he determines the rest of the seasons for him. Temps range for 70 to 90 plus. I've never seen water in 90 degrees. I've seen it in the 85, 87 degrees, but I've never seen 90. Maybe down Florida or out in California where it's a lot hotter. You may see that, but I've never seen that around here. He says, look for channel-oriented structure, humps, points, drop-off, etc., stuff that is related to a channel, but maybe just right off from the channel. One thing I thought was interesting here that I threw on here, it said light penetration plays a factor to determine how deep bass are. They want to remain deep enough to see clearly or see, fairly well, but they also want to remain hidden to their prey. So they're using that as an ambush method. So they can't see underneath them. The way if bass's eyes are set on top of their head, they can't see underneath them, but they can see above their head. So that's one of the reasons in dirty water fish want to stay shallow, which is something I learned this weekend too. He says weeds are a great place to find bass, to find cover during the summer. Hydrilla is his favorite. I think that's everybody's favorite. But cools the water down a little bit, also gives them a place to shade themselves out of the sun. In the summertime, one thing I did read that he says is that fish are not going to be around big boulders or rock piles usually, depending on, smallmouth is a different story, but we're talking about largemouth here, mostly. They say they're not going to be around that because it's going to heat the water up that much more, so they're going to try to look for stuff like, maybe pea gravel bottoms or even a sandy bottom, depending on whatever. He said another place especially for largemouth in the summertime, is to find slack water close to some flow. So around your dam outputs and stuff, maybe get behind an eddy of a rock or something, you might find some largemouth sitting there. They're looking to ambush prey at a place where they can actually expend the least amount of effort. Next one here, and the last one, is his fall season. Temps range from 75 to 55 degrees. So, I think even the temperature range there is a little different than normal because there's a gap there. If you look here on his very first thing, his winter is 48 degrees or below. And then when you look here, he says 55 to 75. So there's, 7 degrees there that are just off. So I imagine his fall goes all the way down to 48. So it should be 75 to 48 degrees here. But he says start fishing a fall pattern after the water of the body of water that you're fishing is dropped 10 degrees from the hottest point on that particular body of water. So if you see 90-degree plus water temperatures fairly regularly for weeks, if not months, when it drops down to 80, 75 to 80 degrees, that's when you should start fishing these fall patterns. He says focus on bait fish during this time of year. He said it's important to keep your bait off the bottom as most bait fish are suspended during this time. Shad and alewives, he said, are really good for this time of year, depending on what lake you're at. He also says that make sure you match the hatch. Grab a bait that matches the bait fish, because a lot of times the bait fish right now are what the fish are actually foraging and keying on to make that stuff, to actually fill their gut. So threw in here, school is in session. That is the fact that he says that 9 times out of 10, when you find fish like this that are chasing bait fish, they will be schooled up. So just because you catch one fish here, do not don't just pull off and try to find another spot. They could be stacked in there really deep. One of his favorite things to do during this time of year is we'll leave spinner baits, crankbaits, and noisy topwater baits are key. So it's something that makes a chuggy sound. I guess he's talking about you probably wouldn't want to throw like a sexy dog or something like that because it's pretty silent, but you're going to want something that creates a pretty good splash. Well, I'll show you one here. Hooks are sharp. So here is a Jackall chop cut. Missy just hooked this thing up for me for Valentine's Day as well. This thing can be fished several ways, slow, fast. This thing is going to make a ton of racket because you can actually see how big that propeller is on the front of this thing. Something that makes a lot of noise during this time of year is going to be crucial. Can't wait to get this thing out and use it. Again, that's the Jackall chop cut. We'll leave spinnerbait. So next slide here, and we're just about done with the PowerPoint. But anywho, back to what we see here. So hopefully you guys can see this. It's a little small, I understand, but most southern reaches of the United States, the spawning times, start around January 15th, especially in the really southern parts of Florida, southern parts of Texas. So you're going to be coming up to mid part of Florida there, February 1st. And guys, these are roundabout times. These, there's no scientific thing that says this is exactly it. It's all dependent on the weather, the time of year, on what's happening. February 15th is going to be northern Florida, still kind of southern Texas. March 1st, mid-Texas all the way up to Southern California, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina. Then you're going to be moving up into Tennessee at March 15th. So you're looking at upper Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky, April 1st. Then moving up into my area, April 15th, roughly. Above that, you're looking at May 1st. Up in the northern parts of Michigan, May 15th, and above and beyond that, the upper peninsula of Michigan, as well as like Maine and stuff, you're going to be looking at June 1st for fish to spawn. So that gives you an idea of when to start looking. So if you're thinking about taking a trip to Chickamauga, you may be looking at anywhere between March 15th and April 15th, somewhere in there, depending on where they're going to spawn, when they're going to spawn. However, if you're thinking about going to St. Clair, the average, the spawn time there is between May 1st and May 15th, roughly. So that's a pretty good deal there. So all right, let's go to trivia question number 3. Trivia question number 3 says the best time to use a topwater lure is I was really unsure about this, but she got this. She showed me that the website she got it from, and this come from a wildlife biologist's blog. So hopefully, th- must be right. Like I said, it was from a published blog in Bassmaster magazine, or not in the magazine, but on the website. Best time to use a topwater lure is A, clear day about 70 degrees, B, rainy day over 70 degrees, C, cloudy day about 80 degrees, or D, cloudy day about 60 degrees. Aaron says, if anyone hasn't fished the Great Lake Largemouth Series in a year, try it out. Funnest tourneys I've fished. Well, what makes it so fun, Aaron? Just for the I just have a hard time going to Lake Erie and not trying to catch a smallmouth. I mean, I know, don't get me wrong, I know largemouth is huge up there. They get huge, and you can catch a ton of them. So we got a couple guesses. Troy Pennington says B. Nate says C. Donnie says C. Aaron says B or C. Again, keep in mind, Ricky says all the above. Yeah, baby, I understand you, but water hits 40 degrees or 110, he's still throwing he's throwing the popper. Hashtag popper or die. Buzz bait, spinner bait, whopper plopper. You guys know how I feel about the whopper plopper. Everybody absolutely kills the fish on them, but I've never caught a fish on one. I have zero confidence in the thing. And I know they catch them. I think I've thrown the too small of a version of it, to be honest with you. I was talking to some people at the tackle box, and they mentioned the same thing. Says they can't catch them on the smaller ones. They have to fish the bigger style whopper ploppers. So Lucas Peak says C. Brian Skur says A. Josh Allen joining us there. Give you guys a little bit of time here to guess here. The best time to use topwater lure is A, clear day about 70 degrees, B, rainy day over 70 degrees, C, cloudy day about 80 degrees, or D, cloudy day about 60 degrees. B and D. So Matt Curran there. So we have you ain't never seen Brandon Klein do any work, Troy. Don't you know, you don't have to lie to be our friend. Yeah, Brian, I guarantee that any day you don't have to work. So, answer there is actually D, cloudy day about 60 degrees. This is what the wildlife biologist says. So take that for what it's worth. So I was taken back by that. She had to show me the deal, and it's the deal. So maybe that's why I'm wrong. I'm throwing it all wrong. So 60 degrees and above, I should be throwing it. And I don't. I usually wait till 70, 75, even 80 to throw a topwater bait, which is crazy. Yeah, you're laughing now, Troy, but you know what I'm talking about. Anywho, a couple of things here. I'm not going to bore you with the PowerPoint anymore, but it says actual spawn times usually only last 10 to 14 days. And one thing about it is those 10 to 14 days when bass are actually spawning, they try not to eat at all. I know a lot of times people are flipping and pitching into nests and they catch fish that way. But you know the reason they're doing that is they're trying to get that stuff away from their eggs and away from their fry. And a lot of times when you have the bait in their mouth, you're hooking them. I don't think some of them will. Some of them will obviously eat. You know, obviously they'll all eat, but they a lot of times they don't eat with that 10 to 14 degree. My guess, guys, on that question was cloudy day about 80 degrees was what I guessed. So we'll just have to see. So I'm gonna try it, see what happens. So that being said, let's hop on another trivia question here. Trivia question here is this: Lawyer Rapala or Rapala, however you want to say it, made his first lure from was it A, wood, B, silver, C, steel, or D, cork? Lucas Peak says D. David Howard says D. Troy, you said the moon is actually a factor in the spawn, in your opinion. Um, He says first full moon of April, majority usually go to bed. So that's funny you mentioned that because that's the next thing I'm going to talk about here in just a second. Because moon phase is actually the most controversial topic of spawning bass that I've found looking into this. If you look at spawning bass, some people are like you and say that it's the first full moon during the time the water temperatures are in the rise, and basically it all fits together. And some people say that has nothing to do with fish spawning, just is the length of the days. Some people say that fish don't start spawning during cloudy days, and they may start when it's the first really long sunny day after a clouded stretch. Jack Rowe in the house. Brooke, Woody. Kevin says D. Nate says D. Donnie says D. Troy Pennington says D. Jack Rowe says A. So I actually had to do some research on Laurie Rapala. He starts talking about how he made his very first. Well, the guy's dead now, obviously, but before he died, I was talking about how started making fishing lures to provide for his family, and the rest is history. Answer there, guys, is D. Cork. So nice work, you guys. Yeah, nice job, Aaron. Hands. Answer there is cork. So the very first lure that he made was out of cork. I would have said wood probably. I did guess cork when she asked me all these questions, but it was actually cork. So she showed me. I figured it'd be balsa, but it is not. All right, let's go to the next question here. Next question is going to come in as this. What company made the first modern bass boat? I couldn't fit modern on here, but what company made the first modern bass boat? Was it Ranger, Lund, Skeeter, or Tracker? All right, so we got some stuff coming in here. We got a lot of people. Quentin says C. Donnie's A. Troy Pennington says C. Skeeter. Aaron says Skeeter. David Howard says Lund. Ricky Barnett says C. Skeeter. Lucas Peak says A. Matt says C. Nate says I didn't know there was another boat other than a Skeeter. Jack says C. Kevin Dick says B. Ricky Guy says C. Getting a lot of information, a lot of contacts there, guys. I appreciate it. So again, guys, those of you guys are just joining me on YouTube. I appreciate it. This is only the second time I've ever went live from there. Right now, I'm running live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're on my YouTube channel and you haven't checked out my Facebook, they're both on another line. So it'll be youtube.com/on another line. As well as this Facebook page that you may or may not be seeing it on is facebook.com/on another line. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys very much. I forgot to shout this out at the beginning of the show. We just reached 1,000 followers for the show, which is a huge milestone for us. Again, last season we had 450,000 impressions. We're kind of throwing the impressions out the window. We're looking at how many different connections we make with people, as far as how many comments we get, how long people are watching the show, stuff like that. So again, 1,000 followers of the show. So thank you guys very, very much for that. Matt Weber in the house. What's up, brother? It's been a wild ride. So the answer to this question is, what company made the first bass boat? Is actually C. Skeeter. The year was 1948, which is pretty amazing stuff. So, hey, they've been building it for 70 plus years. Why not, right? Pretty cool stuff. Yeah, there you go, Nate. Kyle Malone is on YouTube, and he says Skeeter, still the same body style, hasn't changed since 1948. But one thing I will say about a Skeeter, I love my Stratus, man. It absolutely fishes really well, pretty good. It's really good in big water. Gets up and goes 70 plus mile an hour, which is plenty fast enough for me. But the craziest boat I've seen, and he doesn't even own it anymore, is Brandon Klein's 20-foot Skeeter. It was a 75, 78 mile per hour boat, and it was one of those boats that was on a rail, man. 78 mile an hour, 75 plus with his hands off the wheel, just a absolute rocket. He had that thing hammered down. Eric Chafin joining us. Hey, brother. Matt says flick it off. I assume he's talking about the old song that I can't sing because this is a family show. Something about a Skeeter on some body part. Flick it off. So thanks for the laugh, brother. So yeah, I'm with Kyle. But like I said, I've ridden in Brandon Klein's boat one day. And it absolutely was a rocket. The thing was phenomenal. I love my my Stratus though. I wish they still made them. All right, let's look at the next question here. Next question is going to come to you again from Misty. Next question is the odds of a largemouth bass reaching double-digit weight, so 10 pounds or bigger, is 1 in 25 million. Is that true or is that false? Again, the odds of a largemouth bass reaching double-digit weight is 1 in 25 million. Is that true or is that false? All right, I'll leave that up there just for a second so you guys can see it. Got a couple trues coming in there again. The odds of largemouth bass reaching double-digit weight is 1 in 25 million. Is that true or false? That bass, though, check out this shirt. That's pretty cool stuff. Again, if you guys are just joining, thank you guys for joining me. Josh had to work over tonight. Normally, you see my cousin Josh in here with me, but we're making do. Appreciate you guys sticking around. Anything you want to Troy says, Nate says, it all depends on the environment. Lucas says, probably true. Jack says, true. Troy Penny says, I want to say false, but I feel has to be true in my 20 years of fishing. Yeah, so we'll give everybody a second there to guess. But Matt says true. So yeah, I'll be 35 here in a few weeks. So yeah, I've yet to catch a 10-pound bass, so it's huge. Nate says I'll try true. Donnie says he's got 24,999,999 and not one double digits. Dude, that's doing work. That's absolutely doing work. Answer there is true. The odds of catching largemouth bass reaching a double-digit weight is 1 in 25 million. The reason that is because it says, according to wildlife biologists, they say that 99.6% of every spawning fish is eaten in its first year. So I guess it wouldn't be a spawning fish; it would be, fry. So 99.6% of all bass fry are eaten in the first year. That's why it takes, it's pretty amazing stuff there of catching one. 99.6 of every spawning fish is eaten in its first year. Personally, I would be in that category. Kyle and I have always talked about, you throw a bait out there and it looks freaking amazing. And next thing you know is, like if I was a fish, I'd eat it, but I'd already be released to the grease somewhere, as old Wally Marshall puts it. Somebody already made me a meal because I'd eat anything that I see. A lot of Donnie, if you're looking for 110 plus, you better go to Chickamauga, brother, or somewhere south of here because I don't even know if there's any farm ponds that hold that stuff. Luckily, you can get one. Shay Baker in the house, brother. What's happening? Thanks for joining, guys. And again, guys, I talked to you guys a little bit about before. Shay is the owner and proprietor of Uploaded Fishing. So if you guys are into content creating, he's getting ready to upload the new stuff, talking about what's happening this year. It's been running for 2 years. Only thing it is basically an online tournament series, sort of, if you will. You upload a video to their website, and there's a judging process. They've yet to see what they're going to give away this year. It's kind of up in the air. They're in the rebuilding stage. But I'm going to be a part of it. You guys should be as well. So, again, that's Uploaded Fishing. All right, next trivia question. Next trivia question is this. Threw one in here for that has a species that I've never even heard of. What species of fish produce the most eggs? Is it ocean sunfish, largemouth bass, salmon, or squirrelfish? Again, what species of fish produce the most eggs? Ocean sunfish, largemouth bass, salmon, or squirrelfish? See you, Nate. Good seeing you this weekend, brother. Getting a lot of C's, a lot of C's. Everybody's saying salmon. Jack coming in with the C guess. And again, guys, if you guys are just joining me, again, I want to give a shout out to Greg and Debbie Drown of the Tackle Box. Nate Witt was there, Eric Davidson, Chase Sansom. There, Drew Sadler. Kyle was there for a while. I saw so many people. Drew even called Steve Riley out of retirement to come and help because it's such a big deal. But one of the coolest things I saw there, if you guys missed the very beginning of the show, is that I got to meet a lot of the younger generation of fishermen that are coming up. I got to meet, again, Caden Turner was there, Maddox Rowe, Carson Dick, Kevin Dick. I met his dad as well. One of the things about that is oh my gosh, Kyle. Yeah. Yeah, Kyle just sent me a message that I cannot say on air, but he that's the funniest thing I've heard in a while. But anyway, it was really cool to see some of those people out there. That was really cool seeing the younger generation of people there. I saw what I was 20 years ago or higher. So it was really cool seeing those young guys. And again, one of the coolest thing is that I've had people that knew me from either this show or my YouTube channel, and that was a big boost to my wanting to produce more of the stuff that I've got going on. You're right, Troy. You can't beat the people or the selection of the tackle box for sure. Thing about it is, guys, if you're looking for a bait and they're possibly being able to order it, talk to Greg. Anything that I've ever asked him for is like, hey, Greg, can you get this within a week? I have it. And he doesn't order one or two. There'll be 200 or 300 of them laying there on the shelf usually. Speaking of which, there's a new special edition Zoom bait up there. I'm not going to tell you the collar because you'll have to go see Sean Watson in the house. About time you get on here, Chase. Come on, bro. What do you got? Like college work or something to do? Um, Again, I'm not going to give you the collar, but it's pretty phenomenal. I can't wait to use it. It's one of those deals where it may not catch any fish, but it really looks cool. So back to the question there. The question was this: what species of fish produces the most eggs? Ocean sunfish, B, largemouth bass, C, salmon, D, squirrelfish. The answer there is I chose C, and I was wrong. The actual true answer here is ocean sunfish. Ocean sunfish produce more than 300 million eggs in one single spawn period. That's pretty amazing. Salmon. Yeah. It's easy to do, Sean. It's all right. Cool thing about it is you can always go back and watch, right? So if you don't catch us live, you get it. Again, if you guys are just joining us, Josh is not here. He had to work over, which is all good. So I'm running a one-man show. I'm running everything, computer, camera, the whole 9 yards. We got Misty in there watching for YouTube comments, and she's helping me out. So the answer there is 300 million in a single spawn. That would be an ocean sunfish. I got a couple more for you here, so I'm gonna buzz through those really quick. We're getting there at that 1 hour mark, so I don't want to keep you guys out too late on a school night. Next question is how many Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Years has KVD won? Is it 4, 7, 8, or 10? Again, how many Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Years has KVD won? Who cares about saltwater? Well, see, Aaron, here's the deal. I would love to be a saltwater expert, just for the simple fact is means I'd have to live by saltwater. But I'm trying to throw some stuff on here that people that don't bass fish may know, because I know there's not many, but there are some. We're getting some answers there. Chase says 4, Donnie says 8, David Howard says 7 or B. Chase now has changed his answer to 7. We always think we live at. Yeah, I'm with you, brother. I understand. It's too much water, not enough time. Brooks says, I love saltwater, but I still suck at fishing. I know a guy, brother. I know a guy. Aaron says B. Troy says 8. Box of Cracker Jacks, always a surprise. Matt says B. Again, guys, I'm going to buzz through these here. I have this one and 3 more, so we'll get through them here. The answer here is actually B. He has won 7 Bassmaster Angler of the Years, which is phenomenal. You know, I've been watching a lot of the Bass Pro Tour. The past 2 have been phenomenal. Congratulations to Jordan Lee on winning the very first one. That dude is an absolute hammer. The guy absolutely catches some fish. Hammer time. Then Edward Evers, E Squared, won the last one there at Conroe, which is pretty amazing. So, you know, that's a pretty cool concept. I like it. I can't wait to see what they look like on TV. I hope they do a better job breaking them down than they do the Bassmaster Classic. I've been to several Bassmaster Classics and hope they break them down. And it's basically a lot of that stuff is focused around the expo and all that stuff, and which is cool. But I'm there, I see it, so maybe it's different for everybody else out there. Next question here. Again, I got this one and 2 more. Most brands of lipstick contain fish eyes, fish scales, fish gills, or fish guts. This one's for the ladies. Again, most brands of lipstick contain is A, fish eyes, fish scales, fish gills, fish guts. Matt says B. John Osborne says B. Troy Pennington says B. Lucas Peak says B. Most brands of lipstick contain fish eyes, fish scales, fish gills, or fish guts. Jack says A. Ricky Guy says B. Brooke, you're killing me, bro. You're killing me. That's classic. Dave says he don't know, but it used to be Wellblood. That's something new on me. I'm very thankful that I've not worn lipstick in my entire life. So I could not tell you. I was kind of taken back here that it even contained any of that stuff. But the answer there is actually B, fish scales. It actually contains a silver substance that's used to give lipstick a pearlescence or shimmer effect, which is pretty crazy. So those are your showing your ladies out there the idea. Hey, Troy, brother, I appreciate it. Aaron says, no wonder women's lips taste so good. Why isn't Eric Davison not tuned? I don't know, man. I don't know that I've seen Eric tune in very many times at all. Probably because his internet where he lives out there. I don't know, to be honest with you. I know he lives out in the boondocks. He's got a super nice house. Him and his wife have a cabin out there, way out in the country. So his internet, he said that his internet was pretty slow there the other day. So that's probably the issue. Next question is here. We got 2 more to go. This one and the next one. What is the weight of the current world record largemouth? Again, what is the weight of the current world record largemouth? Is it 20 pounds, 8 ounces, 21 pounds, 4 ounces, 22 pounds, 5 ounces, or 23 pounds, 6 ounces? He says he's busy with his meats. Donnie says D. David says D. Lucas says D. Aaron says C. Jack says C. Getting a lot of sporadic deals here. I'm going to take this down really quick here, guys. I'm going to show you a bait that Misty got me that I'm super pumped to use. This is a live target crawdad. And again, I wish that my camera would actually focus. It might actually focus there on that. But the issue there, this thing is phenomenal. I mean, got some super detail on that thing. The back side of it here is actually a lead weight. So basically, it's fished like a jig. The pinchers here actually are pressed on with a basically like a jig skirt holder, so you can actually put the things. It comes with an extra set of pinchers, so I can't wait to get this thing out there. Seth Mannon in the house. What's up, brother? Let's see. Let's put this question back up for just a second. 22 pounds, 5 ounces, 23 pounds, 6 ounces, 21 pounds, 4 ounces, 20 pounds, 8 ounces. Answer there, guys. The current world record largemouth is 22 pounds, 5 ounces. Used to be 22 pounds, 4 ounces. Caught by a fella in Japan. 22 pounds, 5 ounces. That is a toad monstrosity of a bass, 22 pounds. Get online, check out that dude. His name is so. New world record is set in 2009 by 32-year-old Manabu Kurita in Japan. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that fellow's name. Bass was 29 inches long. It was caught on a 7'1" GLX G Loomis jig and worm rod with a Shimano Antares DC7 bait casting reel. So those of you guys that are talking about, is the DC new? Is it something that's going to last? Guys, they've been using bait casters since 2001 in Japan. That are DC or digital control. So we're just now getting them in America, but they will last a lifetime. So again, answer there was C. Last but not least, bonus question here. This is for you movie buffs out there. In Finding Nemo, what kind of fish is Nemo? Okay, yeah. So this is not for the movie buffs. This is for the kids. So you got any kids watching, let them guess. I'm sure they would probably know. In Finding Nemo, what kind of fish is Nemo? Getting a lot of answers there. Is it A, a guppy, B, a blue tang, C, marlin, or D, clownfish? David, I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid also. Definitely. All right, answer there, guys, is clownfish, and that is actually a little bit misleading because it's actually a false clownfish, if I'm thinking correctly. But it is a clownfish. So one of the things that I want to talk about with you guys is I want to express how thankful I am of you guys tuning in with us week after week. It means more than you know, whether you're on YouTube or on Facebook. I appreciate it. It's been a wild ride. I'm almost up to the 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. I'm growing continuously. So if you guys can help me out to share my YouTube channel in the next few days to try to boost me up to that 1,000 subscriber mark, I would appreciate it. If you're on the YouTube and you don't know about my Facebook page, facebook.com/on another line, same as the YouTube. Also, if you're on Facebook and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/on another line as well. I'm going to be producing a lot more content this summer. I'm going to be talking a lot of stuff with a lot of people, traveling down to some people's hot spots and doing some fishing with these fellas that are absolute hammers when it comes to YouTube and content creating. I got a lot of people coming on board as far as who we're going to have on the show. I'll be talking to some of these guys I've been talking about, see if they can get on the show. Also, if any of you guys want to be a part of this show, by all means, we'll Skype you in. We don't care if you're a pro or you're a weekend angler or you've never fished before. If you got some burning questions that you want to get answered, we'll Skype you in. We'll talk about it. We'll see if we can't get them answered for you. We appreciate it. Lucas says I knew the Nemo and the lipstick question. Missed the KVD question. I'm embarrassed. Hey man, we've all been there, brother. I actually got the KVD question right, so that was a sheer guess. I had no clue. So yeah, 7 Angler of the Year titles for KVD, that's phenomenal stuff. Guys, yeah, I appreciate it. So again, I want to throw it out there, and I want to say thank you guys very, very much for for tuning in week after week. And it's one of those deals where we have been growing and growing and growing, and it's all because of you guys out there, and I appreciate it. If you guys want to see a topic or want to see us talk about something, like Matthew, we had Aaron's boy Matthew on 2 weeks ago. That was one of the most outstanding shows I think we've done, just for the simple fact is that Matthew holds himself and presents himself like he's a 25-year-old kid. You have to understand, how old the kid is. He's done a phenomenal job. So Matthew, if you're watching out there, congrats on a great show, and I hope you the best of luck, brother. As we'll go, I'm sure we'll do some fishing. So with that being said, guys, I appreciate your time this evening. We've been on for about an hour. That's one thing that we have tried to shorten the show down is 1 hour, and we don't want to go any longer than that because we understand an hour is a long time of your life, and we appreciate you guys sticking around with us an hour. Again, a quick shout out to our sponsors of the show or people that we're affiliated with is Lure Lock tackle boxes. And again, if you guys aren't familiar with Lure Lock, these things are phenomenal. This is a small size. They make bigger sizes, obviously. They make 2600 and a 3700 series. So here's an LL1. So this is a big version of it. And again, I've showed you guys this before, but I'll show you actually if I have one laying here. One of the coolest things about this thing that I like about Lure Lock is the fact, and I'm not going to have one here that has it on here probably because I've showed you guys too many times. I'll have to go grab one here. I'll show you guys next time. But the breakaway things on the Lure Lock boxes actually break away really, really easily. Yeah, I'm glad he is pumped there, and he deserves it. So again, Lure Lock, this is a smaller version. You guys can see the actual Elastac in the bottom there. What makes Lure Lock so special is that, I don't know if you guys can see it here, but there's a blue substance here at the bottom. It's actually clear, but it has a blue tint. This is the Elastac technology that allows everything to stick. I saw some people on Instagram and stuff talking about how it doesn't stick well after you use it for a while. Guys, these things are washable and reusable. If they get a bunch of dirt and stuff on them, you have to wash them and get them back to the original tackiness of them. As far as I know, they never wear out. So you can see here, again, try that with any other box. And again, I'll show you here. Here's a box with all my jerk baits in it. Let me put the jerk bait I have out back in here. My jackal bait there that I was just showing you guys. And I have this thing chock full of baits. And so here is one of the coolest things about Lure Lock is they make a box that looks like this. It doesn't have any dividers in it. So you can actually stack your baits in more of a fashion. You can actually get more in there, in my opinion, I think. So it keeps your lures safer, keeps your baits looking nicer a lot longer. So that is Lure Lock. Odyssey batteries, can't say enough about Odyssey batteries. Again, guys, I have a 2150, PCM 2150, 31 series, 3 of them in my boat. They all have cold cranking amps of 2150 cold cranking amps. Odyssey Batteries makes a combination battery, so you don't have to buy a deep cycle and a starting battery. You can use them both. Amazing stuff. They use virgin lead in their batteries. They They're not cheap, guys. You're looking at a $500 battery, but they are. There's some pros that are getting 10 to 12 years out of a set of batteries, so it's an investment. And last but not least, JB's Fish Sauce, guys. I can't say enough about JB's. JB's is, one of my favorite things on the planet. This is Black Magic. Comes in a lot of popular scents. Anise. My favorite on the planet is got to be garlic. It is oil based, guys. One of the things that you see a lot of times is that people say, if you get the spray's called up every now and again. Yes, because it has organic material and it has actual fish oils in them, so it does harden up in some colder temperatures. Soak the spray in the sprayer in some warm water, and everything is hunky dory again. So go out to jbsfishsauce.com and tell them that Tyler or On Another Line sent you, and I'd appreciate it. So again, guys, Lure Lock, Odyssey, JB's Fish Sauce. Appreciate you guys tuning in with us. Until next time, I am tonight on Another Line. See you guys.
Got a tackle box full of Bass Pro, a couple rods and a flat bottom boat. Hook it up to the truck, got a hot date with a fishing hole. Got a nice chest, well it's empty right now. Grab a 30-pack, fill it up, ice it down. Back the boat down the ramp, ease her out through the no-wake zone. Well, there ain't no better way on a Saturday to drift away from reality. Drown your 9 to 5 like a worm in the water. Hook to a red and white bobber. Kick back, slip a koozie on. Turn the quiet up, turn off your phone. Leave a message at the beep, I'll get back to you another time. Right now, I'm on another line.